Welcome everyone to the CELPIP Listening Part 4 News Item Analysis. Now, before we get started, just here in the Listening Part 4 section of the CELPIP library, and I do want to say that Listening Part 4 focuses more on CLB 4, 5, and 6. What does that mean? Well, it means that Listening Part 4 is still a little bit easier and more familiar for lower levels. Means the material and the content can be more of a common situation, more familiar dialogues, and something that maybe we have heard before. And the vocabulary might not be so strong, even though some parts are. And for that reason, the questions will not be as difficult, and we can still get more points in part 4. Okay? And definitely easier than part 5 and part 6. So CLB 4, 5, and 6, we can still do better in this part. And for level 7 or higher, well, this part should be more familiar for you and you can probably get everything correct. And usually 7 or higher, they get all the questions right in part 5, okay? Because it is familiar and easier for you. Okay. So also I want to remind you about this great listening part 4 tips and strategies video, okay? This video will give you more details about how you can listen effectively, how can you answer the questions effectively, and how to understand the texts better. So if you want that information, I will leave a link in the description box to that video, okay? So let's get to today's sample lesson, landing accident. Now here I am in the front page of this sample lesson, okay? And also I want to remind you about our sample lesson part 6 sections. We have the video which you're watching right now. Vocabulary building. Vocabulary building is great to improve your vocabulary. Now it'll point out some words from this listening that we heard, some words that you should know, their meanings, synonyms, antonyms. You should study those words. And then this really great exercise over here where you read the sentence and you have to complete the sentence with one word from the list. Wow, great exercise for building your vocabulary. I strongly recommend that one. And then we have comprehension building. Comprehension building for this part is very interesting. You listen to...
Soon he and Joseph Kim got their first credit card a week after they got married.
Right. You listen to that part from the listening section. Okay. Some sentence or part from the listening. And then after you listen to it, then you need to choose.
Soon he and Joseph Kim got their first credit card a week after they got married.
You get to choose which answer, A or B, means the same. Which one means the same as what you hear? Great exercise, and it gets more difficult. For sample number 6, is it A? Is it B? Is it both A and B? Or is it neither A nor B? Wow. Very great for building your listening comprehensive skills. I strongly recommend it. And then we have following dialogue. Following dialogue, we listen to the news item. Okay,
Listening
we listen
to a
it.
news item.
And while we listen...
Soon he and Joseph Kim got their first credit card a week after they got married. At first...
So we fill in the blanks with what we hear. Very great exercise to build your ability to follow dialogues, okay? And then over here we have the test practice 1, which we will be doing today, and test practice 2, which you can do to practice after. It's just version 2. Great, great exercise. All right, now let's get started with today's listening. Practice test 1. So everyone, now I do want to remind you just a few tips that I'd like to remind you about, which will be really useful for listening to the news. The first one, very important, is listen for full sentences, not words. Now, lower levels, we usually listen more to just some words, or sometimes some words are easier to remember. But everyone, this is not a word test, it's not a vocabulary test, it's more an idea test. So for that, we need to listen to full sentences. And sometimes if it's difficult to listen to full sentences, try to listen to sentence parts, 3, 4 words together. Don't focus only on one word because that will confuse you. Okay, very important. Number 2, well, we should try to repeat as much information as we can. Try to repeat. Try to repeat everything in your mind while you listen. The more you repeat, the more you can remember. Okay? Now, of course, if you can take some notes, that will also be helpful. But lower levels, let's make sure that writing notes does not interfere with listening. Sometimes students are writing notes and they don't know how to spell a word. And then they lose focus on the listening, and that will cause us to get less points correct. So, again, just try to repeat as much as you can, okay? And then the third point, which is important for the news, okay? It's important to listen to facts. What happened? Where did it happen? Why did it happen? Who did it happen to? What will they do after? Try to get factual information from the news, and that way it will help you get to the questions better and understand them better. Okay? Okay, the next part is about the answers. Okay. When we read the questions and choose the answers, okay, it's usually sentence completion like this. The couple got into debt because. So let's try to ask a question. For example, why did the couple get into debt? Why? And when we choose the answers, okay, let's not choose the answers only for words. You see here the word spending. If we hear the word spending, is that the answer? Maybe, maybe not. The answers are more about the full sentence, the full idea. They didn't control their spending, not just the word spending, not just the word cards or credit cards. This is very important because lower level students, they choose answers only because of words. So try not to do that and try to select answers for the full idea, not just words. Okay, those tips, I hope they will be useful. And so, everyone, now let's get started with today's analysis. So, everyone, I want to remind you that I will be giving you a chance to listen to the news report yourself and then answer the questions by yourself. That way, we can do this analysis together. So, first, I will play the listening, the news report. You can listen and repeat and get the information. And then we will be going to the questions, and I will be giving you a chance to answer the questions, okay? I will be showing the answers and giving you the right time, okay? And let's get started with test practice 1. Now, everyone, I want to remind you that we are going to be doing this listening together, okay? I'm going to be giving you a chance to listen to the audio. And after that, I'm going to give you a chance to answer the questions in the 3 minutes. And then we will analyze the answers together. So let's get started with the listening.
Listening to a news item. A small plane crashed into a house Sunday afternoon, killing the pilot and destroying half the home. The family inside the house escaped without injury. The single-engine airplane crashed at about 5:30 p.m. The pilot, the only one in the plane, was trying to make an emergency landing at the airport. The pilot's body was found on the bed in the master bedroom. The plane crashed into one end of the house where the 3 bedrooms were. That part of the house was wrecked. The Carrolls, who own the house, were all at home eating dinner. "Oh my gosh," said Mrs. Carroll. "I thought the world had come to an end. I've never heard such a loud sound." We all ducked under the table thinking that this was just another earthquake. When nothing else happened, we decided to get brave and investigate. They immediately called 911 when they discovered the cause of the thunderous sound. The family was lucky because there was no fire. Authorities suspect that a lack of fuel contributed to the crash. Mr. Carroll said that they might have to move out until they get the house repaired. The police will release the pilot's name as soon as they have notified his next of kin.
So now, everyone, let's get to the questions. And remember, we have 3 minutes to answer the questions. So that's about 36 seconds per question. So I will be timing you. Let's start with question 1. So now let's go to question 2. So now let's go to question 3. So now let's go to question 4. And now let's go to question 5. So then, let's get to analyzing the answers, everyone. I hope you were able to get everything. Let's see. The news report could be titled, so what could be the best name for it? Pilot makes great escape, family tragedy, landing gone wrong, airplane with wings. Well, if I remember, this was about a plane accident. Let's just be clear. Okay. A small plane crashed into a house Sunday afternoon, killing the pilot and destroying half the home. The family inside the house escaped without injury. The single-engine plane crashed at about 5:30 p.m. So an airplane crash, small plane. So the pilot didn't make it, so not escape. And family tragedy, maybe, but the family was okay. This means some kind of gone wrong, means something went wrong. An airplane with wings. So it looks like the answer is C because it was a crash, okay? The news reported no survivors, 1 engineer on board, minor destruction, 1 fatality. Well, there were survivors, right? The family survived. There was not an engineer on board. It was 1 pilot. So minor destruction, well, no, the house was destroyed and the airplane. So 1 fatality means 1 death. Okay? At the time of the accident, the family took immediate cover, had just finished eating dinner, had gone out for dinner, were too scared to do anything. Let's check that one. The pilot, the only one in the plane, was trying to make an emergency landing at the airport. The pilot's body was found on the bed in the master bedroom. The plane crashed into one end of the house where the 3 bedrooms were. That part of the house was wrecked. The Carrolls, who owned the house, were all at home eating dinner. Okay. Oh my gosh, said Mrs. Carroll, I thought the world had come to an end. I've never heard such a loud sound. We all ducked under the table thinking that this was just another earthquake. When nothing else happened, we decided to get brave and investigate. They immediately called 911 when they discovered the cause of the thunderous sound. The family was lucky because there was no fire. So, looks like not sure. Did they finish eating or were they eating? So, not gone out for dinner because they were home and not too scared. It sounds to me like they ducked, it says. So, eating dinner, they were eating dinner and they ducked means try to hide somewhere, go under. So, it looks like the answer is A. They took immediate cover means that they tried to go somewhere, hide, or duck. When they realized what happened, they got a hold of the pilot, they phoned the airplane emergencies, they contacted the proper authorities, they tried to rescue the pilot. So not A or D, because it looks like the pilot unfortunately passed away or was killed. So it seems like they contacted the proper authorities. The authorities means the police or emergency response team. And it looks like that's what they did. They immediately called 911. Okay. And number 5, because of the accident, the plane caught on fire. The family may have to evacuate. The police won't release the name of the pilot. The house will be expensive to repair. Looks like it's not caught on fire because they said it wasn't on fire. And the house will be too expensive. They didn't say that, so let's read exactly. Authorities suspect that a lack of fuel contributed to the crash. Mr. Carroll said they might have to move out until they get the house repaired. The police will release the pilot's name as soon as they have notified next of kin. Next of kin, family. So looks like not. They will release it after. So they may have to evacuate means they may have to move out of the house, evacuate, leave, not be there until they fix it. Okay. Okay, so looks like we got everything. Okay, so how did you do, everyone? How did you do? I hope you got 5 from 5. Now, if you weren't able to get 5 from 5, let's check here. So what can we do to practice? Well, the first thing that we can do to practice, everyone, is review the answers. We need to review the answers, and we need to understand why the answer is the answer and why the other answers are not the answer. This is so important to understand, and it helps us build comprehension, okay? So very, very important. The next thing we can do, of course, is read the script. Okay, let's read the script. Let's understand the script and how it's expressed. Let's check vocabulary and see what words we're not familiar with. Okay, and let's try, everyone, to understand as much as we can about news reporting. Very good way to understand that. And for that, everyone, I will be leaving a link in the description box to our sample answer. And don't forget that you can review test practice 1, but also you can review vocabulary, which really helps you build your vocabulary. Comprehension building, a very great exercise where you listen and answer questions. Okay, very good for improving your comprehension. Following dialogue, also very good for improving our listening skills. Okay, everyone? All right. And also test practice 2. Test practice 2 will help you, everyone. You get to listen again, you review the listening, and then you have different questions to practice and review what we analyzed, okay? And also, everyone, let's not forget about our CELPIP library. CELPIP library has over 50, 60 samples of listening part 4, which will really help you improve your listening comprehension for part 4. So for that, everyone, with discount code CELPIP79, again, discount code CELPIP79, you can get a 3-month subscription for $10.99. Wow, great deal, everyone. and I strongly recommend it. So subscribe to the CELPIP library. Now, don't forget, everyone, practice makes perfect.